Hey, welcome back to part two, Acedía and the Desert Fathers, learning how to grow in holiness during this time of quarantine or self-distancing, social distancing. I just did a take and I thought, boy, that was good. I don't even have to do this again. And I looked down, I realized you didn't push the button, Father. So we'll see how this one goes. Initially, I was going to jump right into one of the five manifestations of Acedía and pit that against one of the remedies, and I realized I needed to take a step back and talk about the faculties of the human soul first of all, because when we're talking about growing out of vice and growing into virtue, the the faculties of the soul, if they're not in order, it ain't going to happen. All right. So, in fact, the growing out of vice and into virtue really is a reordering of those faculties of the soul so that the grace of God flows within us. So here's, I just drew this morning and I got to get it right because there we go. And my graphic design is not so good, but maybe you can do something better. Intellect, will, memory, emotions, desires, instinct. There's different words that we use that different spiritual writers use for these, but I think most of them would agree that this is the order that they go in for proper ordering of the soul. Intellect is the highest, instinct would be the lowest, and everything in between. And what happens is that a lot of times when we're functioning in a disordered fashion, that's what vice is. Either the emotions, the desires, or the instinct are really in control. And when that happens, it's kind of like you've got a vehicle that's just going. It's got all this power and this energy, and it's moving, but there's nobody to steer the wheel. There's nobody to take. It's out of control. So the reordering of the faculties puts intellect in charge, will, memory, the higher faculties, and then the lower faculties are to be at service of them. They're under their direction and guidance. So that's just a brief look at why we're doing what we're doing here. Uh, the manifestation of Acedía I wanted to look at today is aversion to work, as given by Evagrius. I pit that against the prayer and work as a remedy, and there's no. I think Evagrius kind of put some of them together, but more so he talked about here's the manifestations and here's the remedies, and he didn't give one for one, but so I think they're kind of related. So aversion to work and prayer and work as a remedy. Um, Acedia itself is there's always going to be an inordinate love of pleasure, comfort, and rest. So that's going to be the basic manifestation of Acedia, and there's it's going to be an let's see, pleasure is good, rest is good, comfort is good. But when it's an inordinate attachment to those things, then things go out of whack. Then your emotions and your desire and your instinct, they're going to be in control, and you're not using your intellect so well, or your desire, your what do you call it? Your will is going to be disordered. The dignity of human labor. The Catholic Church teaches, especially in social Catholic teaching, it teaches that there's a goodness to human labor just of itself. It's not just a matter of I got to do this in order in order to survive. There's a goodness before the fall. Before Adam and Eve fell into sin, there was a goodness to labor. It's only after the fall that they're attached to some kind of pain or suffering. Pain and suffering is not a good thing in itself, but the dignity of human labor is still good for us. It's generative. We provide goodness for ourselves. It's creative. It's bringing something about that wasn't before. It's given for others. We don't work just to keep myself going, but to be a gift for others. And there's other ways that human dignity, the human work, is good. Human labor is good. And then so we want to be we want to not neglect work for pleasure, for comfort, for rest. And at the same time, then it's coupled with prayer. Just working is not necessarily a good thing. We can have an inordinate attachment to that, a drive to succeed, a drive to prosper and get better and get ahead of the Joneses. We couple that with prayer, and it brings it back to that dignity from the beginning. So I like to encourage people towards a monastic model of prayer where it's not just one time of the day I give that to prayer and then I'm off to the races. It's we touch prayer different parts of the day, thereby sanctifying our day, our work, ourselves, bringing order to the day by prayer. I tell people to go at 6 in the morning, 12 at noon, 6 in the evening. And I always want people to pray before they go to bed too, but it doesn't have to be the any particular length. I used to tell people an Our Father, 6 in the morning, noon, 6 in the evening before you go to bed, just to touch base with God. Maybe a Hail Mary or some other favorite prayer. But I've come to I really like the Angelus as a touchstone throughout the day. Different saints, St. Ignatius of Loyola is going to have different ways of touching base in prayer and meditating. All the saints are going to have some form of this. But I say the Angelus, especially for beginners, to touch the incarnation. The Christ took on flesh, like us in all things except for sin. And when it lends itself to meditation, not just saying the words. It's not magic. But it lends itself to a simple meditation on the life of Christ coming in the flesh. There's other ways to do it. This is the way that I encourage people to do it. A monastic rhythm to prayer, a monastic rhythm to work, and the alternation of the two. I think Saint Evagrius would agree that alternation of work and prayer is really important for the ordering of the souls. Priests, we pray the liturgy of the hours every day, and there's it's not like they do in the monastery where they pray together a lot of times, but morning prayer, midday prayer, the evening prayer, night prayer, there's the office of readings. There's other forms of prayer that each one of us engages in, but we also don't want to neglect the work. We don't want to just spend our time all our time praying. That can be an inordinate attachment in itself. So the rhythm of prayer and work helps to reorder the human faculty, the human faculties of the soul, and thereby growing out of vice and into virtue. It's not an automatic thing. I'm still at it. I've been after it for years. I will be until I die. So we'll touch another later on. We'll touch another manifestation of Acedía and another remedy. But for now, here's prayer and works. God bless you.